So what's up everybody, and I'll be making a tier list about the races and the Forge. We'll be starting in human race. So human race has 3% plus luck and 3% plus experience. So I would say it's kinda buns, bro. So I'll put it in the lowest tier possible. And the second is the elf race. So it has 3% luck and 15% stamina and 5% height. So I think it's still buns, so I would put it below buns or the higher buns tier. Next will be zombie. So zombie has 2% plus health regeneration every 5 seconds and has a debuff of 25% minus max health, and has this a passive 15 chance to convert incoming damage to health. So I would say it's kinda bans, bro. I don't think there anyone that uses zombie and the forge, so I don't know. So next one will be goblin. So goblin has a 15% plus movement speed and 10% plus dagger attack speed, and he has a debuff of 15% health and 15% size, and also he has a passive of bargain, which gives him 12% plus discount when shopping. So I think goblin isn't really the best race for the forge, so I would put it in the lowest tier possible because I fucking hate that Goblin King. So next will be the undead. So undead has a passive called second chance, which refills 50% of health when your health is below 10% and has 5-minute cooldown, and it has fragile bones, which gives 12% minus health, and sharp surface, which reflect 10% of incoming damage. So I would say this race is kinda good, but I would say I would put it in the bottom of the good race because it gives you a uh, good passive for PvE and fighting monsters. Next one will be Orc. So the Orc race has a passive called Muscular, which gives you 10 plus percent physical damage, 15% plus health, and 10% plus size. And there's also a negative debuff called Heavy, which gives 10% minus stamina and 10% movement speed. So the same as the undead race, this orc race is pretty good for farming mobs or NPCs. So I would say he is above good. So next, dwarf. So this dwarf race is pretty good because it has a passive called gifted miner, which gives 15% plus mining and 5% plus to better forging. So it gives a pretty decent buff. And now the second buff will be critical mining, which gives 20% chance to deal 50% extra damage to rocks. So it's pretty good for mining and forging. Oh, but it has a negative debuff of heavy short, which uh, has 20% minus height and 5% minus speed. So I would say the dwarf race would I would put it in the must have because the dwarf race is pretty good for mining. Next one will be shadow rays. So wait. So shadow rays. It has a passive called Phantom Step. There is a 15% chance to turn into a shadow and dodge an incoming attack when receiving damage. And also, it also has a Shadow Pack, 10% attack speed, and 15% plus movement speed, and 5% plus physical damage, and 10% plus stamina, and 10% health. So I would put Shadow in the, because it doesn't have a lot of debuffs. It only has 10% minus health. So I would put the Shadow Race in a alright category. So let's go to the legendaries. So first, Minotaur Race. So Minotaur Race has a Bull Fury. Receiving damage and going below 50% health will cause you to enter in rage mode, increasing your movement speed and physical damage by 30% plus. So it's pretty good. And the second passive will be Beast. So it has 10% height and 20% plus health. However, the debuff has 10% minus stamina, and also you have a 20% plus width and depth. So you're pretty huge, chunky guy. So I would put Minotaur race in the alright category because it's a pretty good race for killing mobs and farming essences. So next one will be Sharp Fangs. My bad. Next one will be Dragonborn race. So Dragonborn has three passives. First passive is Sharp Fangs, which gives you 12% plus physical damage, and the second is Dragon Breath, which gives you 40% chance to burn enemies and deal 30% of your currently equipped weapon damage per second for 3 seconds. So it's a pretty good passive. And the third passive is the Durable Scales. It has 20% max health and 10% height. So the Dragonborn race is pretty good, I would say. And it's like a nerf version of the mythic race. So I would put Dragonborn race to must have, but he is in the bottom tier of must have because he's also alright but also good. So next one is Golem race. He's a legendary with 1.25% chance to get. So Golem has three passive. First passive is Heavy Hitter, which gives 15% plus attack speed for heavy weapons. And next passive is Tank, 30% plus health and size. However, it has a debuff of 10% minus movement speed. And the third passive is Stoneheart. So there's a 50% chance to reduce incoming damage by 25%. So what would I think about the Golem race? I would say the Golem race is pretty decent. I would put it for mining, it doesn't really give that much, and for fighting it's kind of decent. So I will put it in the alright category. So now let's go to the mythic. So the angel mythic race has a holy hand. When below 20% max health, you have an infinite stamina. Wow, that's pretty OP. The next one is wings. You have 50% dash distance, 15% longer dash iframes, 20% movement speed, 25% jump boost, 20% stamina. However, you have 20% minus dash cooldown. Oh, that's a good thing for having a 25 minus dash cooldown. And now the third passive is Smite. there's a 50% chance to smite your enemies for 30% of the physical damage. So it's like those if you've seen the angel race, when you're fighting an enemy, there's a lightning or something like that that struck down your enemy and gives extra damage. So it's a pretty good race. And the final passive is Mighty Clover. It gives you 50% luck boost, but I think this luck boost got revamped and it's only 40 now, but I'm not sure. So I would put Angel in the perfect category because it has four good passive, like it's pretty perfect for a mythic race. So let's go for the last race, the demon race. So the demon race has four passives. It has Devil's Finger. Dashing will cause you to teleport, conjuring helper particles, and having a 20% chance to summon a helper Hellfire Circle, dealing 20% of your currently equipped weapon damage per second to the enemies inside the EOE for 3 seconds. And the demonic powers: 20% movement speed, 20% attack speed, 20% fire damage, and 30% height, plus 10 width and depth, and 20% physical damage. Third passive is Curse Aura. While in combat, conjure an area around your character which deals 10% of your currently equipped weapons damage per second, which is good. It's like the uranium AoE damage. And the final passive is Backfire. So 25% chance to burn enemies when receiving damage. So I would say the demon race is below the perfect tier because the angel race has more or lack 50% or 40%. It's a pretty good race to have. So this is all, guys. I think I've covered all of the races, and thank you for watching.